Hi, this is Christian in Drammen, Norway. And aside from their shameful knowledge of the band Aha, I love listening to Making Fun of MacGyver.
Tonight, it's the Season 3 debut as Soviet agents use a former lover of MacGyver's who he thought to be dead as a pawn to steal a valuable Chinese statue. Hey, will Sam and Jeff be able to soldier on after their lost love? Find out next on Making Fun of MacGyver. It's Making Fun of MacGyver, a rib-tickling takedown of our favorite 80s adventure show, Chips. Now it's MacGyver, starring Sam Jordan as the skeptic and Jeffrey Hess as the scientist.
Name's MacGyver.
Welcome, everybody, to Making Fun of MacGyver, the show where we recap, review, and lovingly ridicule every episode of the original series MacGyver. I'm Sam Jordan, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by my two fellow MacGyverites, the Russian defector of the bunch, Mike Garland. Yeah. Oh, that's right, he quit.
He defected.
Yeah, he defected. And the mustachioed magician of the crew, Jeffrey Hess. You've had a mustache.
Yes, I've had mustaches, goatees, Fu Manchus, full beards, chin straps, you name it.
My captivating comrade, I bring you a question. Are you ready to see more China, Russia, U.S. maneuvers than the upcoming eventual World War III?
You know, I thought it couldn't get any hotter than it is in Ukraine, but apparently it can.
Oof. All right. Well, good, because we're moments away from making fun of MacGyver. Guess what? It's our 63rd episode, and it's our Season 3 premiere! Woo, yes! Season 3, as we cover MacGyver Season 3 premiere, Lost Love Part 1. This is the synergy I've been craving for our season to be in sync with MacGyver's. We'll see how long it can last, but I'm loving it. But first, before we get into all that, it is our opening gambit. It's back to Mac. Season 3 is here. Jeff, how you feeling?
I mean, there was a lot of excitement in the air. There's been a buzz all over Sports Talk Radio. Everyone's all excited about it. Not the
On
NFL
Sports
kickoff.
Talk Radio, for some reason.
Yeah, I know. I heard at multiple segments with people talking about Making Fun of MacGyver coming back. So I'm pretty sure that the excitement that's in the air, it has dropped below 100 degrees in Fresno for the first time in literally 4 months. Okay. It's wonderful. I'm super excited.
There's a nip in the air, and I'm not just talking about mine when I do the show shirtless. I mean,
right.
But yeah, no, I love the fact that we're kind of now in sync, at least so far, with Season 3. But we have the big summer refresh, and guys and girls who listen out there, thank you for bearing with us during that. We love getting to be able to stretch our legs, talk about other things, take a little bit of time off, but we're so excited to be back to Mac. So what's new for Season 3? That is the question you're probably asking yourself. A few things. Mike is gone. That means you are taking over the episode recaps, and we're looking. Well, tell me what you're looking. Tell the fans what you're looking to do a little bit with them.
So we're thinking we're going to slim them down a little bit. We're going to try and tighten everything up by about 15%. We've tried to hit an hour for our shows, and we sort of get a little loosey-goosey in there, and it gets a little long. So we're going to do slightly fewer cuts. We're going to move through the Axminsters a little more quickly. That'll give us some more time to discuss them and crack wise jokes. Mm-hmm. But the primary thing is it's going to be a lot less detail in each scene. So,
or at least that's the plan, because like they say, you have a plan until you get hit, right? And
right.
This will be your first time kind of doing it. So we'll see. But the goal is to just slim them down a little bit, so we don't have maybe 40, or 35 minutes of just telling you what happened in the episode, because really the fun part is talking about it.
Yeah, it's a bit like, January 1st, everyone loses 10 pounds, and then by February 1st, it's back.
Yeah. We'll probably be up to 40 minutes by, week 6 or something. But, all right, well, you've got the recaps. Looking forward to handing it off to you shortly. So we're kind of looking for a third permanent host, but we are in no rush, as you've heard us say before. So Mike is done. He might pop back in occasionally, but we're just going to roll with the two of us for now, see how that goes, and kind of be looking for a third person, but we're in no rush to do it. We'll see how the chemistry is with some guest co-hosts, that kind of stuff. But that's just an update on where we are with the third co-host slot. How about just a quick reset on our experience with MacGyver? If someone's tuning in tonight and it's their first time hearing the show, let me just say my experience with MacGyver and how we got to the show. So I was a little older than probably the typical demo for the show in the 80s. I was in my teens, and for some reason, I preferred sitcoms. So I never watched MacGyver till about 2017, when in my thirst for 80s nostalgia, I went to Netflix, found it on Netflix, quickly loved it, found it ridiculous, but loved it as well, and wanted to do a podcast about it. So I've actually gone through the complete series once. Now, as we're going back here for the podcast, this is my second viewing, but it's all within 5 years. So, Jeff, what is your experience with MacGyver?
So I was born in 1983, and I came of like awareness age right around the time the show was timing out. So that 5th, 6th, 7th season plus the movies, and I would watch them endlessly as a young person growing up. So fond memories of it. It's very much like so you fell in the gap, the MacGyver donut gap, where you're out of childhood but you're pre-fatherhood, where you would have like enjoyed the wholesomeness of everything like that. And I'm on the other side of that gap now.
Right.
So like the cheesiness, and I love the wholesome nature of it. I absolutely adore the character of MacGyver, who is endlessly endearing and always sincere and just a consummate good guy. And I really love that aspect of him. And so that's where I'm at on it. And I'm have very few memories of specific episodes, but other than the one where they cut off the rhinoceros tusk. But I have a lot of fond emotions surrounding it. So it brings me a lot of joy to take a step out of the busy world and dive back into the world of the 80s, where like the morality of everything is so cut and dry, so beautifully simple.
So I thought it was important to mention that, just because if you're new to the show and you come in thinking, well, this is going to be a show run by MacGyver experts, these guys are going to have encyclopedic knowledge of the show and it's going to be their favorite show of all time, we're definitely not that show. Because I think that's how I would stumble onto a podcast of one of my favorite shows too. I'm like, well, these guys are going to know everything and let me learn. Well, unfortunately, we're not that show. We are more like, as you just heard, a weird kind of mix. However, we do love the show. We love what it stirs up. We love his character and everything, but we also love making fun of it. So we wouldn't
be into season 3 if we were sarcastic about it. The enjoyment's not ironic. The enjoyment is sincere.
So if you're a hardcore fan out there, and we know we've got a bunch of them, and you've watched the series 5-10 times, all the episodes, I think the benefit for you is, besides the creative fun things we do with it, is that you get to then hear our reactions to kind of hearing it for not the first time, but kind of close. You know what I mean? So it's my second time in 5 years. It's your first time in many years. So I think that can be fun too, hearing people experience these episodes that the hardcore fans love.
Yeah, and feel free to go back and listen to our previous episodes. Of course, the catalog is there, and we're going to be trucking on through 7 seasons, which is going to take about another
Hopefully.
6 years.
Yeah, so in our season 2 celebration show, we announced a contest. We are giving away a free box of food. Let's do this right now. And all you needed to do was comment in the social media post that accompanied that season 2 celebration episode. 3 people commented. That's how many people want free food. 3 people. So here we go. I've got the 3 names in here. 3 names. I didn't even need a hat. Okay, there we go. And it's Claire Fisher. Claire Fisher, our finest feminist we know. It's funny. She does deserve it, because she actually sent on Twitter. So on Facebook or Twitter, you could have just commented on the post. She actually commented, "I want free food." Well, Claire, you got it.
Mission accomplished.
We had Vivian and we had Bo. Only those 3. Now, Vivian in China, or in Taiwan. We couldn't do that. Yeah. So, Claire, I will get you your free Martha Stewart Marley Spoon box of food. They are not a sponsor in any way. They probably would want nothing to do with this, but I will send that to you.
We've only ever had one sponsor. It was Soon Parts, and then I fired them dramatically.
Can't believe you even brought up their name on this fun night, opening night of season 3, and you're going there.
I assume after in post we'll scrub it out.
Okay. Let's run down just a couple more of the basics. Where to watch MacGyver these days? You got free options like Pluto TV, that app. You got weird kind of cable stations like Heroes and Icons, and it streams on Paramount Plus, or buy the Blu-ray series set. I think it's about $100 on Amazon. We love interacting with our fellow MacGyverites, so say hi to us. We've got social media accounts on Facebook and Twitter. Plenty of shenanigans can be found on our YouTube channel as well. Just search Making Fun of MacGyver there. YouTube channel actually starting to do fairly well. We've got a hotline, the number for you to call and just vent about our show, MacGyver, praise, jokes, whatever you want to do. Ooh, that reminded me of Pia from North Dakota's legendary limerick. Remember that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She's a lyricist without a clue.
So good. We haven't heard from her since. It was just one, meteorite explosion, and then she was gone. So 904-419-3310 is that phone number. You leave a message. No one will pick up. Just leave a message. We'll play it back on the show. MakingFunOfMacGyver@gmail.com is the address for email. And we have a Patreon account. And we would love it if we got a little more support for show hosting and social ads we take out and whatever, kind of giveaways we do. So it's patreon.com/makingfunofMacGyver.
And that phone number, that call-in phone number, it does spell something. And if you figure out what it is, please tell us.
Right. Also, one more thing. If none of that sounds good, if we get it. If you don't want to give us a dime, totally get it. But if you could give us a way better than we deserve rating and maybe a written review on your podcast platform of choice, it would really help us, the show out, as we try to grow. And I think we have an eventual goal. We're trying to get to 1,000 regular listeners before this thing is all done. We're nowhere close. But if you could give us a rating, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, that would help a lot. So I think that's it.
As they say, a journey to 1,000 listeners begins with you giving us $15 a month.
Yeah, it just rolls right off the tongue. So last season, we subjected our listeners to an oral torture test all year by expanding the monotonous viewer mail theme by 1 second each week. It pushed the limits of acceptable taste. I think we admit that. And I/somewhat apologize for being slaves to that bit. We ran that bit into the ground. What are you saying over there?
No, I mean, we didn't run it into the ground. We didn't even get to the juice. You have to push through the awkward to the juicy nugget of comedy at the center.
Well, we blew it up in the season 2 celebration. We promised we would stop it. Some people didn't like it. Mia in Australia told us a year and a half ago she hated it, and we kept doing it. And she's our longest running patron. But even on that final play, when I played it back, Jeff said it was still too short. So I think I have something here that is true to the original melody, but not too short. So here we go. For the first time in season 3, let's crack open some viewer mail. Well,
Nick Wyatt was not prepared for the applause at the end. So first of all, too long. Second of all, little known fact, the sax player is the same sax playing professor from season 2 who died quoting Shakespeare rather than asking MacGyver for help.
Yeah.
You think they didn't like my music?
I'll get an ambulance.
No, don't bother. No, just not so deep as a well, nor so wide as a church door. But this enough, well, sir.
Yes, sir.
You have one of the finest minds I have ever encountered. Young man, I expect you to...
All right, so you know what? You're right. I had to get that joke in there. Don't worry, guys. We will not be playing that every week. But that was Henry Mancini, the creator of the original theme for Late Night with David Letterman, came on one time and played it live with an orchestra, and that's what that was on the show. So that'll just be a one-time gag. Next week, I promise something newer, shorter. So there you go. All right, let's get to some viewer mail, shall we? We got one
Yes.
letter. Dear Making Fun of MacGyver, hi. First of all, I was very excited to be mentioned in the Season 2 extravaganza and figured an introduction wouldn't go amiss. I'm Esther. I'm from West Virginia and have immensely enjoyed finding and listening to the podcast over the summer. I'm listening on into the school year, too. Don't worry. Despite my old name, I wonder if I might claim the title as your youngest listener, since I highly doubt any other 17-year-olds are listening. Feels like a safe claim, LOL, exclamation point. My sister and I have been unofficially making fun of MacGyver for years, so I was excited to find others who do too. It's my all-time favorite TV show. Again, she's 17, even though it definitely has cringy moments. Your podcast makes mowing much less of a chore, just so you know.
Oh my God. It adds 5% entertainment to the world's most boring task. Great.
I'll forever associate you guys with grass now, and then a big laughing emoji.
Ha 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 ha.
I'll miss listening to the OG trio, but I'm excited to see what the future holds. Keep on being the coolest MacGyver ridiculing podcast out there. Your youngest fan, Esther.
There has been a lot of like old names come back. Like I have friends who have an Innes and a Finn that they're their children's names. So like Esther seems like an old school name, but there's like this big trend of old school names having a renaissance.
But Jeff, we have a 17-year-old girl in West Virginia
that too.
that loves
Yeah.
loves this show. This is, I mean, what is your like? Holy crap! I can't believe it. It's like fans that we've heard. It might be Mia in Australia, Vivian in Taiwan.
Yeah, Vivian Taiwan's up
Is
there.
Esther the like? I can't believe this person likes us. A third most. I mean, I don't know.
If I were to draw our demo chart, 17-year-old girls would not be on it.
It's amazing. And we love it. I wrote back to her in a very enthusiastic, friendly way. Esther, thank you so much for that.
Actually,
what?
If we were going to sell advertisements, we should point out that having one 17-year-old listener really does represent about 25% of our whole audience.
Right. Now we're getting closer to that 18 to 34 demo. She just got us in there.
Crushing it. Double the ad rates.
Love it. And she's out there mowing lawn, listening to this. Oh, we love it. Now, it does make me feel a little bad, though, if she was listening, if maybe 16 or, 15 and some of the things we've said on the show. But that's, we're not here to be role models, people. That's what your parents are for.
These Zoomers grow up fast. They're way ahead of us.
All right. Well, thank you, Esther, so much. We're happy you're a fan. Welcome to the family. Jeff, do me a favor. I'm going to take you back right now to Monday, September 21st, 1987. Monday, September 21st, 1987, practically 35 years to the day as we record this on 9/16/22. So the number one movie in the country is Fatal Attraction, the psychological thriller directed by Adrian Lyne from a screenplay, blah, 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 starring Michael Douglas, Glenn Close, and Ann Archer. The film centers on a married man who has a weekend affair with a woman who refuses to allow it to end and becomes obsessed with him. And because this movie is going to be number one for a while, I would like to go back to something we did in season 2. Here's the 30-second TV spot.
Fatal Attraction. Gene Shalit of the Today Show calls it one of the most gripping.
Did you have an affair with her?
Chilling.
I'm not going to be ignored.
Romantic movies in years. And Joel Siegel of Good Morning America says it's a steamy, sexy, suspense-filled, sensational movie. Michael Douglas.
What if she didn't get it out of her system? What then?
Glenn Close. Fatal Attraction. Rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
Wow. Romantic?
Who said that? Gene Shalit? He had way too big a mustache.
Also, Glenn Close, all-time legendary actress.
Yeah.
Underrated, I think her career is.
Yeah.
But not someone you think of now as a sex symbol because she's had a long, like, I don't want to call it an elderly career, but she's had a long phase where she's been, like, had gray hair and has that kind of role, but she's outstanding.
I read that she like had to really fight for the part because they didn't think she could be sexy, but she's pretty sexy in the movie. But I think it's a great film, and the premise is terrifying. It's clearly when I think the word stalker, since you were just a little kid when this movie comes out, 87. I don't feel like the word stalker started becoming a word to like somewhere in the mid to late 90s. but this might have been a movie that really elevated the term. I think it's a great film. Have you ever seen Fatal Attraction?
I have not.
Oh, okay. You definitely should check it out.
Not really my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
There's that whole like mid 80s to early 2000s, like 9.5 Weeks, The Secretary. There's this whole genre of like, what's the one with Sharon Stone in it where she does the legs thing?
Basic Instinct.
Basic Instinct, single white female. Just, I mean, it's going to sound really prudish of me, but I'm glad that the steamy sex scenes are out of movies. I never liked them. And this whole genre is just like, not my thing.
Okay. Trust me on this. You'll enjoy it. I think you'll definitely respect it. What it is, it's better than all those movies you just named. And in the director, I'm gonna give him a shout out because he's the director of my second favorite film of all time, which is a movie called Jacob's Ladder. And the director Adrian Lyne directed this and Jacob's Ladder. And I don't know if I'm just giving his touch on the screenplay a lot of a credit, but I think this is a tight thriller. It's a thriller, but it's really well acted and well paced, and it'll have you on the edge of your seat. And I just think it's one.
Yep.
I think you should have it in your resume, in your portfolio, or your repertoire, whatever. I think as a movie buff, I think it'll still hold up and be entertaining. So do me a favor, check out Fatal Attraction at some point.
Do I have to / get to see any naked Michael Douglas's butt?
I don't think so. So.
That's a missed opportunity. That's another thing about like the 80s, 90s sex scenes. Too female centric. Give us the dong.
Yeah.
What are you holding out for?
Okay. It got good reviews and it generated controversy at the time of its release because of what goes on. It made $320 million against a $14 million budget.
Is that inflation adjusted or is that 81, 85? Oh my God.
We're going to be talking about this movie as the number one movie for multiple weeks here.
Is that the highest earning film of the 80s?
No,
what?
It can't be.
Return of the Jedi is going to beat it? Gremlins, Back to the Future?
So I think this movie is going to be number one for many weeks. I think what you should do as a service to the listeners is see it before it leaves its number one slot, which will be at least 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay, so I got plenty of time.
Had 6 nominations at the Academy Awards. It had a Best Picture nomination, a Best Director nomination, Best Actress nomination for Close. This rises above some cheesy, naughty stuff. So I think you got to put this on your list.
I will.
Okay. Fatal Attraction. Yeah, good film. The number one song. So I know at the season 2 celebration, you and Mike, it came down to a final vote, and show announcer Vern Sanderson chose Mike, and Mike takes his hardware and leaves, and you become get the scorn on social media with that picture of you showing your stomach. So how you feeling now about revving things up? And it looks like me and you, I guess, are going to sing against each other for season 3. What do you think?
I mean, I don't think you can call yourself a champion if you don't come back and defend your title, so I'm going to claim myself as champion.
Okay. Okay. So the number one song in the U.S. In late September of 87 is I Just Can't Stop Loving You from Michael Jackson with Siedah Garrett. It was the first single released from his 7th album, Bad. And I got to tell you, if you would have told me there was a number one song from Michael Jackson in the 80s that I could not hum or sing from just hearing the title, I'd say no way. But that is the case with I Just Can't Stop Loving You. As soon as I saw that title, I'm like, what? So it's
Can you imagine listening to Bad for the first time and this fucking turd comes up in the middle of it?
It spent 1 week number one, and then it was gone, and no one remembers this song by Michael Jackson, which makes the fact that Jeff is about to sing it even funnier. Written by MJ, co-produced by Jackson and Quincy Jones. And the presence of Siedah Garrett on the track was a last-minute decision by MJ and Jones after Jackson's first 2 choices for the duet, Barbra Streisand and Whitney Houston, both decided against participating.
Oh, that's a missed opportunity. This would have taken this song from like a 2 out of 10 to like a 2.2 out of 10, but still.
All right, so your first song, butchered by one of us in season 3, is going to be Jeffrey Hess now singing Michael Jackson's I Just Can't Stop Loving You.
Long ass preamble. I even sped it up. You're listening to K95, the smoothest 80s hits that you don't remember. Each time the wind blows, I hear your voice, so I call your name. Whispers at morning, our love is dawning. Heaven's glad you came.
You know how I feel, this thing can't go wrong. I'm so proud to say I love you. Your love's got me high, I long to get by. This time is forever, love is the answer. I hear your voice now, you are my choice now. The love you bring, heaven's in my heart. I hear harps and angels sing. You know how I feel, this thing can't go wrong. I can't live my life without you.
I just can't hold on, feel we belong. My life ain't worth living if I can't be with you. I can't stop loving you. I just can't stop loving you. And if I stop, tell me just what will I do?
That happened. That definitely happened.
Very, very, very Quincy Jones on the. And if I stop, and had the whole band stop.
You know what I think might be in order to respect the listeners' time on this one. For the first time ever, I think I might speed up the verse part till we get to the chorus.
Yeah,
like just 3.5 speed. You know.
Each time the wind blows, I hear your voice sound, call your name. Whispers in the morning, our love is starting, heaven's glad came.
That took a long time to get. I think that might be the longest verse we've ever had.
It's like almost 90 seconds.
Right. Just like, a team that, ties, their first game. You're undefeated right now. No one has beaten that yet.
Yep, preseason champions.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Good job. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so it's September 1st, 1987. It's Monday. And it's 8 o'clock, and you're sitting down, and you're turning on your tube television. CBS is giving you Kate and Allie. NBC has Alf, but on ABC, it's the season 3 premiere of MacGyver. And now, for the first time, under these circumstances, I hand over the reins of the show to the gnarliest MacGyver narrator, Jeffrey Hess.
Apprentice MacGyver storyteller.
When I was a little kid, I used to think ships were like magic, sailing in from strange places, carrying mysterious cargo. This ship was from the People's Republic of China, and the cargo was kind of special. A single treasure, literally beyond price. It'd been on display during the voyage, and its security had been the responsibility of the Chinese government. Now it was going to be ours, Pete Thornton's and mine.
So Chu is James Hong. We begin at this show's very favorite setting, which is a shipyard. For some reason, like 30% of these shows started at like a boatyard.
Right. So, but before we get into the plot, what about the fact that all of a sudden goes to a cold open? You didn't even get the theme to start. When was the last time? I don't think they even did that in season 2. Just immediate footage.
It's reminiscent of season 1, where we had the opening gambits.
Their opening gambits. They just jump right in, straight into the show, no theme to start. And I was like, whoa, okay, here we go. Here we go with the season 3.
Because the season 2 opener, I think, goes something like 25 minutes before the first commercial break, right? It's some absurd length.
Right.
Yeah.
MacGyver filming locations, by the way. West Ship Terminal Wharf, the port at 999 Canada Place, Vancouver, BC. And also they filmed at the Convention Center at the Vancouver Convention Center this episode. So here we go, season 3. We are now filming in Vancouver, Canada. We're out of LA.
A decision that members of the show say saved it.
Oh.
If you'll recall with our Bruce McGill episode, where Bruce says the reason they were able to keep filming is because it's cheaper to film in Vancouver. And that's one of the key things that kept them on the air.
Cool.
So we are on a dock, and they're going to be protecting this magical item, which turns out to be something called a Ming Dragon. And my boy, James Hong is back. I could not be happier.
Yeah. You're happy about it?
Yeah.
I've got some strong opinions about the casting here, but I don't want to just jump into it. But his name is Chu here, right?
His name is Chu. He's an emissary for the Chinese government. And at least for this episode, the Ming Dragon is something of like a MacGuffin, like a side thing that is part of the plot, but not really part of the plot.
But we just saw him die as the bad guy last year. Remember, he's running down a ship. He has a heart attack. He was after the Wish Child.
So he's dead. Know. The timeline jumps around a bit. This could be pre-Wish Child in the MacGyver universe.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we've gotten football players who were Russian insane asylum inmates. So our boy James Hong is back. He's talking with Pete and Mac on the dock, and they're being surveilled by a blonde spy while James tells them about the Ming Dragon, the pride of China.
Ming Dragon. China is very proud of it as a work of art and part of our history. It's beautiful.
It really is beautiful. I had to stop and just stare. I paused it. I went around like my TV. For some reason, I did a circle around my TV.
Like when a dog
it wasn't
sees
as
an
beautiful
animal
from
on there.
behind for some reason, but then when you got more in the front, it was wow, beautiful. What do you think they made out of it? Like green jello or what is that?
Oh no, it's almost certainly Play-Doh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A philosopher?
Someone is spying on them from the rooftops, though. It's a blonde woman with binoculars, and she is stopped by a guard and promptly beats the tar out of him, and then dumps the world's most obvious dummy down the elevator chute. The comedy isn't over yet. She dumps the world's most obvious dummy down an elevator chute, killing him, I assume, and then she pulls a pigeon out of her purse and releases it. The pigeon goes to a house somewhere, and it alerts the two pigeon owners to its presence, and we're introduced to who is actually the main villain of the show.
What are your thoughts on that dummy flopping down in high def on 65-inch screens now, or 55, whatever you got, boy?
I don't even know if it was a quality dummy. It looks like they just put stuffed clothes with other clothes.
It just moves like, oh my God.
I thought I was going to lose it. And then she pulled a pigeon. She pulls a bird out of She walking around with, is the bird just pooping in the purse? She's just walking around with a bird in her purse?
And it ties in so much. That's a good tie-in it could have had to the whole magician thing, right? With
oh,
Jack
how
being
funny
the
would that have been? So the bird goes to, I guess it's some kind of homing pigeon or something like that. Yeah. Rest in peace, because they're all extinct now.
Cutting edge KGB technology there.
Hey, I mean, they're undetectable. Uh-huh. And it goes to a house where we have two bad guys, and we find out the real target is not the Ming Dragon at all.
Well, Nikolai?
The dragon has arrived.
Security will be handled as we expected.
By the Phoenix Foundation and MacGyver.
I see you remember him. The time you failed to catch him.
I remember.
If it's any consolation to you, before we leave, MacGyver will be dead.
Oh, snap.
Now you can cue the credits.
Actually, I missed her one. Mm-hmm. But, okay, so when you see, what's his name, Kozov there, what are you feeling? When you see Kozov on screen, what are you feeling?
That he should be Italian and not Russian.
Keep going. Are you going to tell me you did not catch this?
No.
You might have to hang up your mic. Are you telling me you did not recognize Kozov?
No. Is that the older gentleman or the younger guy?
That's Anthony DeLongis.
What?
That's Anthony DeLongis.
Playing Nikolai?
That's Piedra from The Assassin in season 1.
He has a huge role in this.
Yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
So in the first 10 minutes of the show, we've got James Hong, who was killed in season 2 with the Wish Child, and we've got Anthony DeLongis, who was killed in season 1, The Assassin. I can't believe you didn't recognize Anthony. We interviewed the guy for an hour.
I have told you so many times I am entirely face blind, and for some reason you don't believe me. I watched the whole episode and didn't realize it was George Takei in that Wish Child until we sat down and started talking about it.
No way. Oh my God.
No, ask my wife about it sometime. Tom Cruise could walk into my office and I would be like, "What's up? Why are you here?"
So Kosov, that's our buddy Anthony DeLongis, who we interviewed a couple of years ago. Friendly guy, Rancho Indalo. We might have a meet up there someday. And he's now, but this is what bothers me when they do this on MacGyver is that they will reference a backstory that 9 times out of 10 you've never seen on a previous episode of MacGyver. But you're wondering, wait, did I see it? But I'm not sure. And then when you've got an actor like Dimitri, right? From previous episodes, like, wait, was that the plot from the previous? And it's like, oh my God, they're using rehashed actors and referencing plots that you think are rehashed, but they're just made up plots. And it's yikes. It's tough for me with my dementia coming on.
Well, I agree, and I had this problem a couple times. They did this in season 2, where they would introduce a character and vent a backstory for them, and I'd have to ask, like, was that an episode that we watched? Like, is that a real thing?
Right.
It's not quite as funny as when they make up fake war stories, though, because those are clearly so made up on the spot. Vietnam. Ready for Axminster 2?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's a lot to take in for the first Axminster, but
you want a season premiere or not?
I know, two-parter, and we've already got two recast actors here. You know, and I gotta say, at the end credits, for some reason, I really paid attention to when they mentioned the casting manager, and I wrote it down. It says casting manager, and her name is Fiona Jackson. And she was done in the business by like 91, 92, but cast about 20-something episodes of MacGyver. She's from Dublin, Ireland. And we're not, really attacking her, but Fiona Jackson, what do you like? We've already seen these two people had major roles in the previous two seasons of MacGyver in standalone episodes, and you bring them back here for your first one to be like, guess what's new and hot? Those old people you've seen in other episodes. I mean, Fiona Jackson, I don't know.
So not to give too much away, but we've got Anthony DeLonges, James Hong, and Stubbins and Marlowe. All coming in this episode. So check that off the list. I don't have to remember that for the rest of the show.
Yeah, we didn't need three people for one of us to remember that.
Axminster 2. We arrive at the museum where they're going to be showing off the Ming Dragon, and James Hong and everybody, they're talking through the security that is around this, including sensors on the glass, laser beams, security guards, everything like that. And of course, MacGyver shows off immediately. That's the reason that he's there, is to show how easy it is to defeat these security measures. So we have two quick does it MacGyvers about how weak the security around the Ming Dragon is. So we have one with laser beams. We have one with the Swiss Army knife. Can you hit the sounder?
Well, one thing that hasn't changed for season 3 is the sounder.
Does it MacGyver?
So the first one is MacGyver's just absolutely busting this guy's balls about how garbage his security system is and how easy it would be to defeat. He avoids the laser beams, but in a way that I thought was interesting, because he mentions 3 ways of doing it. 2 of them he's done on previous episodes, redirecting the beams with mirrors and then shifting them through in a fiber optic cable. This time he chooses to use the simpler one, which is just to throw some dust in the path of the light. The reason that you can see the beam is because lasers are just concentrated beams of light. And if you've ever looked at a beam of sunlight and seen the dust floating, you know how this principle works. The light bashes into some dust and then it scatters. And that's actually what you see, is the scattering of the light. They call it splashing when it smashes into these dust particles. But it is worth pointing out that not all lasers are visible. The human eye only has a narrow band of visible light. So there are lasers that can exist that you cannot see, even if you threw dust in front of them, because they'll be out of your visible range.
And those are the kind of lasers, they just get you so mad. I'll be like, freaking lasers, like it just...
Yeah, I know. And then it became a car in the 90s that was part of the... Anyway, that's a bad joke. Okay. Also, he again goes to unlock a key with the Swiss Army knife. Come on, man. He just sticks the knife in there and turns it and the lock unlocks. Not how locks work. There are tumblers inside of there, and they have to be lined up in a certain way for the lock to turn. That's what the little mountain ridges on a key are for. They push the tumblers to certain heights. So discovering the laser beams with dust does MacGyver.
Okay.
Opening a key lock with your Swiss Army knife does not MacGyver. But Pete is right. They should change that to a combination lock.
1 for 2 on MacGyverisms to start off the season. Last year, I think he did 74% or something like that. We said.
It was This is the last 2 for the episode, so he's going to start the season batting his slow start.
We knew there were going to be fewer this year, and it was funny before the show. I said, "Well, there's none," and you said, "No, there were 2." But yeah, that's it. Unfortunately.
Yep. And so this makes James Hong nervous. They have a dead guard. MacGyver has easily defeated the security measures on the Ming Dragon, and because of this, James is reminding them how nervous he is and how important this job is.
I think I am rather glad you are on the job, Mr. MacGyver.
My pleasure, sir.
I confess of being unsettled. This and the death of that security guard.
Yeah, I know, that bothers me too, but it's being looked into. So far, there's no evidence to indicate anything but an accident.
The Ming Dragon is our national treasure. And while it is here, your national responsibility. If anything were to happen, the result could be quite serious.
Oof, man. Question, as I listen back to that, do you think James Hong is doing a stereotypical Chinese American accent?
Yes, because he's from Minnesota.
I forgot that. I forgot.
Yeah, that's one of the ironies of it. Like, he's known for that accent, which is not age. It's not bad here, but in a lot of cases, it doesn't age particularly well.
Okay, I forgot that.
But it's
That's
yeah.
He's from where MacGyver is from.
Yeah,
Richard
he
Dean
is.
Anderson and James Hong, both from Minnesota. And
So-
so is Matt Milosevic.
Yeah.
One of our patrons.
Yeah. And so, what do you think the threat is there? You think James is issuing a threat there?
I don't know what he's doing. Is it a veiled threat?
It's very veiled. And when I get threatened by veiled threats, you know where I go? To the mall.
Oh.
Because that's where Mac and Pete go next. They go to the mall. All right. So
I didn't remember that, but okay.
yeah. So they go to the mall, and
Well, it's the 80s. You got to remember how popular malls were. 1987. I swear to God, that might be peak mall popularity. So I don't care if there's a heist or a murder, whatever. It's tough to resist the urge of like a Benetton and a Bed Bath and Beyond kind of set up all in one location. So you walk in these doors, right? And then you have multiple stores you can go to, and it's all under like one roof. And then there's a center, like a court, and there's food, and it's like a food court, I guess.
Did you just mall-splain me? So while they're at the mall, Mac thinks he sees somebody he recognizes, but it's just he doesn't think he's seeing them for sure, so he shakes it off. And they take the opportunity to go see the Great Sheldrake, a magician of renown, who is, of course, Jack Dalton.
Jack Dalton in there. So, boom, immediately this episode gets 1 full point out of 0 to 10
Easily.
mullets, right?
Yeah. He's making fun of his assistant and everything. He's great. Every time he comes on screen, it's improved.
Yep.
So,
they did that right with the opening, with the season premiere. Like, you know what? People like Jack. Let's throw Jack in for the season premiere. So they got that right.
Well, they were probably thinking the same thing with Anthony and James Hong, too.
I mean, I guess.
So they invite Jack to the opening of the Ming Dragon display party, and he accepts. And all of a sudden, Max thinks he sees this person again.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs off to chase him. And he tells him, I think I see a woman who I knew named Lisa, but Lisa can't be alive because I killed Lisa. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Snap.
Oh, snap. And that is the end of Axminster 2.
That's the end of Axminster 2, right. And like, we know MacGyver's character so well. I'm sorry, that doesn't work as a cliffhanger for the commercial break. We know he didn't kill a woman. I just get around to mentioning it now. But Axminster 2, 2 down, 2 to go. A good time for a commercial break. Let's go back to 1987 now and see what they were selling during the commercial breaks of MacGyver. It's our first time capsule commercial of season 3.
Sir, have you made a choice? We have here one cola beverage which in the universe of taste virtually eclipses the other cola. You chose Pepsi. How about that? This is a fact which is neither startling nor surprising. It is my theory that the taste of Pepsi is unrivaled. Please, let me get a word in edgewise, if you would, due to the billions and billions of starlight
Would you like to take
bubbles.
that with you? Let your taste decide. Pepsi, America's choice.
What's the gag?
Well, remember, this is the Pepsi Challenge thing. This is Pepsi's big ad campaign, and we just saw one of these spots last season. I forget who he was pretending to be, but Bronson Pinchot getting a handful of Pepsi commercials to do multiple characters, talking to himself, playing multiple characters. And here, do you know who he's pretending to be there?
That's what I'm saying. I don't get the reference.
Okay.
What's the gag
He is
here?
impersonating famous astronomer Carl Sagan. Famous scientist Carl Sagan.
Okay, that's interesting to me because my memory and our feeling of Carl Sagan now is one of like loving endearment. And they're making fun of him, right? He's supposed to be poking fun at him?
A little bit, right? I mean, he's doing it right. Like you do an impression of anybody, you got to ham up certain parts.
Yeah, but he's like making like a stereotypical nerd, like
a little bit,
yeah.
Right? So he's got, I think at this time, a show on PBS. I think Cosmos was his like big show on PBS. So he's only going to be on that that public, television stuffs where and then talking about outer space. So yeah, like nerdy kind of thing was his vibe. But it's not a terrible impression of Carl Sagan there.
Axminster 3.
Let's do it.
Axminster 3 begins with Jack bringing Mac a drink, which is notably a double shot of straight ginger ale. Because, as I tell you constantly, MacGyver doesn't drink.
Yeah.
I have like 10 points of reference for this now.
This is the second time he's ordered ginger ale on the series. So I've had this idea where we should come up with a MacGyver drink. I know you're on the wagon and you want to stay on the wagon, I occasionally have a drink. What episode was that where I had too many during the taping? But don't listen to that one.
Whatever one's the longest. It was that one.
Yeah. That was rough. But sometimes when we record, maybe have a drink. But I think we should get a MacGyver cocktail. Now, ginger ale's got to be the main part of it. Now, you could do it, dry or whatever the word is,
Well, ginger ale is not an ale. It's non-alcoholic.
Right. But I'm saying, so we got to figure out what would go in the ultimate MacGyver cocktail.
Shaved cubes.
Shaved cubes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to run it through the garden. But
No.
you know what? Maybe you do run it through like the way you would run through a Bloody Mary or something. Maybe there's an olive and a celery stick.
Right. I was going to say the olive because he did the trick with the seltzer water and the olive in season 1 where he used that as a MacGyver to get out. So you could put an olive on a stick in there. You could put some, like vermouth has alcohol in it, put something else in there.
On the train episode of season 1, he had a lamb sandwich and a glass of milk. I don't think any of that works with ginger ale. But
So you don't think ginger ale and milk would be a good drink?
Not for me.
Okay.
And then there's got to be an alcohol in there. I mean,
maybe somebody else can try it.
Right.
And tell us how it goes.
Yes. But hey, if you're listening out there and you have an idea for a MacGyver cocktail, hit us up on social or give us a call and we'll talk about it next time.
So non-alcoholic drinks are called mocktails.
Yeah.
We need to make a MacTail.
Oh, yeah.
This could be a season contest. We could have a MacTail contest.
Ask all 7 of our listeners how, what they would make for MacGyver.
We might have 1 or 2 submissions.
I think you're right. I think there's no alcohol in this. There shouldn't be any alcohol in this because Mac doesn't drink. So it's a MacTail. The MacTail mocktail or what? I don't know, but yeah, like this could be good. This could be good.
Yeah, MacTail is also something he gets a lot of.
Yeah, well, some more in season 1, but let's find out. Did he get some?
You're about to find out that he and this woman that he thinks killed, they go deep.
Okay.
And we're going to start right after Mac goes right into a flashback. Ginger ale, they say in ginger ale veritas is what the Italians say.
Mm-hmm.
So Mac tells Jack that he was on a mission in Russia with a woman named Lisa who he was in love with to blow some shit up. And she insisted on coming along for the very last mission. Mac didn't want this to happen. He was so reluctant. And of course the mission fails and Mac sees her gunned down by some Russian goons and he is certain that she is dead.
So as we're seeing that flashback, I got to say this is the second most egregious use of MacGyver so far of slow motion. Other than the TNT explosion in I can't remember the name of the episode now, but
Hellfire.
This is some rough slow-mo and a woman who looks like a model for like shampoo being gunned down as she runs towards the camera.
Yeah, I do love his daring escape too, which is just run away.
Yeah.
So Jack tries to comfort Mac, who's not having any of it. They flash back again, and he is like basically implying they were going to get married. He says something about how her hand is missing a ring and things like that. And
right.
So while Mac is wistfully dreaming off, he steps over, looks at himself in the mirror, and he looks down at his dresser top, and there's a note there from Lisa, and she wants to see him. She tells him, Mac, I'm going to be on this ferry at 6:45 in the morning. You get your horny little mulleted butt down there.
I thought this was going to be some kind of dream sequence or something. I thought she was dead and he was hallucinating or something, but I was surprised that she was back in action and wanted to see him.
So he does go to the ferry and he meets her there, and by golly, Lisa is there. And she explains to Mac that she survived the shooting and she was imprisoned in Russia. And while she was there, she was saved by another Russian prisoner named Nikolai, who we met earlier, played by, surprisingly to me, Anthony DeLongis. He saved her life. They got married, and she says they want to defect to the United States. What other thing would an 80s man want to hear than his Russian bride wants to defect? So Mac goes to Pete. Mac says, Pete, my long-lost love is back. She's married, but her and her husband want to defect. We need to help them get out of here. Pete is unimpressed by any of this. The Russians show up at that exact moment. Lisa is there. Nikolai is there. The spicy, sexy blonde spy is there. And Jack Dalton cannot stop hitting on this 6-foot-tall Russian spy. So it ends with Mac mending bridges with Nikolai. And Nikolai explains a little bit of what happens, kind of the situation that they're in. And he says, Mac, this is how it went down. I understand if you don't like me, but please.
Help Lisa. Why do you want out?
I was 2 years in a prison camp. I learned one thing, MacGyver. To cherish freedom. For myself. For my Lisa.
How'd you get her out of the camp?
I destroyed her records. Forged new ones. I hid her past. And we were lucky. My God, we were lucky. This new government, glasnost, openness. And for this little moment, the ice melts and we get out. But if they ever discover who she really was, Lisa goes back. And I would be shot.
So, to Nikolai's credit, he was right to be suspicious of the new government in the at the time Soviet Union. Very soon after that, to be Russia, because it does not go well for them for the next until now, basically. So Mac invites him to the show with the Great Sheldrake, where Jack is performing. Jack is in on the routine. He invites Lisa and the blonde killer spy up to the stage, and Jack vanishes Lisa, which greatly upsets the blonde. Outside, Mac is waiting for Lisa. They hop onto a bike and they escape, but Nikolai is caught and the chase is on. And that's the end of Axminster 3.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Not bad, I guess. Not bad intrigue and action and, the magic, but I think this episode's going to start to lose me here, where we seemingly have about 6 minutes of chopper bike chase.
Yeah, the back almost 20 minutes of this is all chase.
Yeah.
So Axminster 4 there's a car chase that ensues, some pretty good bike riding, what looks like, honestly, by RDA. It looks like
a couple of times it is. There's one towards the end where he does this long straight shot, looking at about 40 miles an hour, and that's the two of them. Most of the other cuts are not him, as I would zoom in.
And you can measure this is scientific, you can measure their speed by the fluttering of his mullet. That's how you know they're going 40 miles an hour.
That's nice, yeah.
So they escape onto a ferry. It seems the general, whose name escapes me, is pissed, but the blonde super spy says it's okay, we still got him, because they have a helicopter. So Jack and Pete think that Mac has escaped, but they discover that he's still on the lam, and the Russians have a helicopter, and the chase concludes, so to speak, at a lumber yard where the bike runs out of gas. Now we have a brief commercial break here, and there's a very short Axminster 5 after this.
Immediately tapping into Vancouver's natural resources with the lumber yard. Like, well, what do we got here in Vancouver? Lumber yard? I did notice it was a lovely, bright couple of shooting days or sunny days there. The video quality looked good in most of the shots on Paramount Plus, but then a couple shots, it's all grainy and weird, so I don't know if it was a different camera or what there. But I just know that watching later episodes in Vancouver, you get that seemingly constant gray, overcast kind of day, which it adds, to the vibe, which you didn't get in LA. But all this action is in a nice, brightly lit environment.
It looks gorgeous. It looks beautiful. It's well shot. It's exciting. I think it's exciting. I like the car chases stuff. I liked Mac on the bike. I can deal with it being longer. They escape through the so Axminster 5 begins as they escape through the lumber mill, and of course, because now the viewing audience does not know this, but this is a 2-part episode. So they escape, but they are caught. Mac and Lisa are caught in the lumberyard by the bad general, who displays a piece of jewelry, which turns out to be an explosive necklace.
You are a hostage. So is Nikolai. What price for freedom, you ask? The Ming Dragon. Deliver it to me.
You want me to steal it?
Yes.
That's impossible.
Nothing's impossible. Consider the alternative. She has until 2 o'clock tomorrow. If you attempt to rescue her, if she tries to escape, if you try to do anything but get me the dragon.
You got a deal.
Good. Bring her. Go fetch, MacGyver.
So, General, whatever his name is, General Russian guy, loads Lisa up into the helicopter. They take off. Mac is left standing on the pier looking like a lunatic in his horribly fitting clothes. Did you notice how awful his clothes were in this episode?
I did not.
He's got the most ill-fitting 80s jacket on, pants that are weird with this belt. He's got these like high top, very 1980s white sneakers that aren't tied all the way to the top, so they're like floppy. Bad look, bad fit by Mac, and that's unusual because normally he's got just awful fit, but now it's worse. So that's the end of the premiere of season 3 of MacGyver. It ends with a cliffhanger for the first time in series history.
And this was a big thing in older series, I think, older shows, to be continued, even in sitcoms. Sitcoms used to do it all the time. I'm thinking like a Happy Days or something like that, where they would try to make there some level of drama with all the comedy. But yeah, a two-part, we're going to go in guns blazing, guys. We're going to hit them with a big two-parter season premiere. We'll bring back all their favorites from previous episodes, all the good villains, and we'll bring Jack back, and we got a helicopter chase, and I get it, but...
Yeah, I mean, like, you're making the writer's room pitch right now. Like, does that not sound appealing?
When you hear my score, maybe it won't pan out, but we've recapped and ridiculed this one, but now it is time to rate Lost Love Part 1.
Name's MacGyver.
But as I was already kind of making my case here, like big production values. I like the two-parter thing. I like Jack being here. That's an instant 1 point, as we said. Even trying to work in some lore, I guess, is fine. But I just felt the intensity was lacking. Too much chasing. You like the chases. I don't. I don't want 5 minutes of a chopper sneaking around the car. Oh, the chopper's here now. Oh, the chopper's here now. So it didn't totally work for me. It's on 7.3 on IMDb. But unfortunately, I've got a 5 here. I've got a 5 on a 0 to 10. Liked it, thought about a 6, but I think we can do better. I compared it to other things I've given a 6, and no. So part 1 at least is a 5 from me. What do you think?
So I think I'm right around the same point you are. 7 feels like too much. I think this episode really suffers from being a two-parter because huge parts of it are dedicated to setting things up. I mean, they have to introduce all the Russians, they have to introduce the main dragon, they have to reintroduce you to Jack, they have to introduce you to Mac's long-lost lover. So there's just like, they have 2 hours to work with. This is like movie length at the end of the day, and it's just too much going on. And that ends up with it feeling very uneven. So it would go from hazy flashback to motorcycle chase to all this to dumping bodies down an elevator shaft. So on the whole, it's try not to overrate it based on my excitement for it being the season premiere, but I think it's a 6 mullet affair.
Okay, yeah, we were very close. So you've got a 6, I've got a 5, and we average it out to...
This one's rated 6 out of 10 mullets.
What you're telling me is for the rest of the season, I just come 1 point in above you, and then I will set the score for every single episode.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Let's crunch the numbers now for the first time in season 3. This is where we count up all the MacGyverisms from the episode and see how many were successful. And we count up all the times someone said MacGyver, because it's usually a lot. So what did he do tonight? We talked about it, but what did he do?
1 for 2. So you can reveal lasers, generally speaking, with dust, but you cannot unlock a lock with a Swiss Army knife.
Okay, 1 for 2. Now, previously, when we count up the MacGyvers, you would guess on the number, and Mike would guess on the number, and Mike won that about 80% of the time. So, yay for you. You'll be going uncontested here. Now, you want your averages from previous seasons. In season 1, it was said 15.5 times per episode. Season 2 is said
3 minutes.
15.9 times last year, and we had a record holder with 46. So what do you think tonight? How many MacGyvers were said?
Feels MacGyver heavy. Now, I'm hoping to be a little more accurate because I'm now doing what Mike did, and I'm watching it twice, once for notes and once for jokes. And so I'm going to go, let's see if they come in right at average. We're going to go 15.
Well, 4 were said even before the opening theme played because they went in with a cold. And then there were a healthy amount. But 21 MacGyvers opens up the season with 21 MacGyvers mentioned.
Yeah.
Plenty of,
they bring the whole, I mean, credit where it's due. They brought the whole set.
Every trick in the playbook tonight for the season premiere.
Yeah, they had actual MacGyvers in it early on. They had big stars, 2-part episode, saying the name 21 times.
What about the most make fun ofable moment? You know, I didn't think there was many, but then you reminded me about the dummy and the pigeon.
Yeah, it's the dummy. It's the dummy down the it's the dummy down, or just generally Jack is the great Sheldrake. The scene where he's hitting on the murderous spy, and she looks at him like she wants to kill him so bad.
Shoots daggers. Doable though, I would say, in that kind of Brigitte Nielsen Russian big, tall babe kind of thing.
I'd climb that mountain. Jack would climb that mountain.
Yes, he would. All right. Well, I got to tell you, I know we're about to wrap this up. I'm still bothered by this casting, though.
What? Why?
Taking Anthony DeLongis, best villain from season 1, and James Hong, a very good villain from season 2, and throwing them right here like we wouldn't remember that. This casting director.
Oh my God! Are you starting drama with our premiere episode?
There's about to be some drama with this casting director, Fiona Jackson here.
Drama, or like drama?
No, drama. This one goes out to the woman who cast Lost Love, parts 1 and 2. I can't figure out some of her choices. Are you sorry, Miss Jackson? What was the deal? Why'd you choose to cast the girls and guys that we saw before with our own eyes? Are you sorry, Miss Jackson? What was the deal? Why'd you choose to cast the girls and guys that we saw before with our own eyes? She was the casting manager for season 3's premiere, but to conventional practices she did not adhere because she chose actors that we had already seen on our TV screen as tiny tots, maybe preteens, like James Hong here playing the role of Chu, but we just saw him in The Whisk Child from season 2, where he was Li Wen-ying, and just one thing, he died at the end. His body's now in Beijing. But that's not all. Oh no, not even close. You cast another guy who we thought said adios. Anthony DeLongis, seen here as co-star, but he was Pietro in The Assassin. Now that's a major faux pas. And stop.
You're not going to finish that song? This all-time great song about Outcast?
It's a to be continued. It's a 2-parter song.
Oh my God, that's such a cop-out.
But I'm not. But here's the twist, though. I'm not going to finish it next episode. In fact, I'm going to finish the second part of the song coming up in 4 more episodes is when you're going to hear it. And that's all I'm going to say. Just remember that I said this, that I stopped this song, my beef, my one-on-one vendetta with casting manager Fiona Jackson.
Yeah.
It's going to continue in about 4 episodes.
It's kind of a one-on-none vendetta because she doesn't know.
she
she's
doesn't know about this.
You got this fatwa on poor Miss Jackson.
And actually, I hope this doesn't get to her in any way. But she left the industry in the early 90s. But no, I got a problem with Miss Jackson there. So, well, that concludes this episode, season 3 debut. Jeff, any final thoughts?
No, I'm so happy to be back. I'm delighted to be doing the show again. I hope we continue to build our cult podcast following, and I invite everyone to become involved. We're going to be doing more on the socials, Facebook, YouTube, stuff like that, and there's a lot of great stuff to come this season. So we enjoy and appreciate your support, and we look forward to it.
How about a huge thanks to our Patreon patrons who inspire us to bring our A games here. Jeff, you want to lead us off?
I do. We want to first begin by thanking Mia in Canberra, Australia, our first ever patron and damn good woman down under.
Damn good woman down under. Is that Working Blue there? What?
Yeah, this show is brought to you by Manscaped.
Okay. Thank you to Bo in Fort Myers, Florida, a great friend of the show, trained CNC machinist, and keeper of duct tape in his vehicle.
Claire in New Jersey, our favorite feminist and first-class female unofficial ombudsman of making fun of MacGyver. Check out her website at deadfictionalgirlfriendsreport.com.
Thank you to Caesar from Parts Unknown. Hail Caesar and his generous backing, which keeps us cracking.
Christian in Norway. He chops wood, he drinks beer, he likes heavy metal, and he's a fantastic supporter.
Thank you to Matt McKay from Minneapolis, Minnesota, a fellow podcaster, talks about city slickers. He's a theater aficionado, he's a scientist, and he's the father of many children.
And Vivian in Taiwan, a lovely young woman who befriended us from the other side of the planet, where she tells us there are a lot of MacGyver fans.
Hey, we're always out there looking for new friends, so please, if you like what we do, feel free to reach out to us on social, say hi, but above all else, keep coming back because we are going to keep making fun of MacGyver. So for Jeff, I'm Sam, and thanks again. We'll see you next time. Peace.
I think I am rather glad you are on the job, Mr. MacGyver. MacGyver.
My pleasure, sir.